Hi, today we're going to be working on a React component. The first step to building a React component is actually to design it. So for that, we're going to be using Figma. And the next thing I do is I usually I just jump into code. And my weapon of choice is usually React and Figma, as I said. So the first thing that we're going to do is really go to Figma and actually design the component. So as you can see, this is the website that I actually usually work on. I'm the CTO at this company, and so what we have right now is that we are building this forum platform, and the forum actually is great. Like, it has all these components, but one of the bits that is missing is some kind of call to action at the top of the forum, so people actually create a new post. So the thing that we're gonna build is, so what I have in mind. So the first thing I do is usually I just create a design on Figma, because this allows you to iterate very fast and actually create a new component. For example, I want some kind of box here. I'm just quickly going to mock up what I envision. And then I want something that says create post, or I'm going to make this smaller. Yeah, so basically I want some kind of box like that, that I guess it's just a call to action at the top. And this should have like an internal box inside. So I imagine that something like this, some kind of box. And yeah, so let me actually change the colors. So we have actually a design gallery, or what do they call that? A style guide. So you can actually choose different colors and create your own style guide. So for us, we created this is a bunch of color, a palette that we use in our company. So what I want is some kind of like, maybe like gray, yeah, similar to that. That looks good. And then I want another box inside that slightly darker, because it's meant to be kind of like an input, right? So yeah, something like that could work. So yeah, so what I want is, I'm leaving this space here because I imagine that I want to have some kind of icon, or maybe like a pen, or maybe, so I usually go to this React icons github.io. This is a great website that has a bunch of icons from different open source libraries. And this is usually the resource that I use to find icons. So maybe let's start with like a user or something like that, because at the top of our page, we're using this icon. So I imagine that we want to use some similar icon to that. And this is this icon here. So to move that to Figma, what I do is I inspect the element, and this gives me a list here, right? So I can get the SVG, and if I copy the SVG directly, just copy the element there. I go to Figma and I just paste that in, probably there, and it's just super tiny, small. But that doesn't matter, because what I can do is I can make it bigger. So I can do 32 width and 32 height. And there we go. We have an icon there. So this is kind of what I'm thinking of. So I'm going to make this color maybe slightly more like grayish. So it actually looks like a placeholder. So something that you could type on. And I'm going to make this a round corner. Oh. Yeah, maybe similar to the one at the top. And yeah, this one the same. Maybe slightly less. Maybe like 8. 8 could work. You can see the border here. Yeah, it kind of looks fine. Yeah, looks good to me. Yeah, so something similar to this. Maybe respecting the spacing. So it's similar. The spacing is 11. Maybe just a tiny bit more. 14, 12. Yeah, why not? Cool. And this one, kind of like similar. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, kind of like that. Maybe maybe the padding could be smaller. So what you can do in Figma is that you can actually create a group. So if I do, so I select both items and I can do Command G, or I can just, so in this case, what I want to do is actually frame it, not create a group, but actually create a frame. And why I want to do that is because, yeah, this item is going to be inside of this other group, right? So what I want to create this, all these items, I want to create another frame. So I create a new frame. And what this allows me to do is that I can, if you see the reference, you see these little lines there. So the lines are the reference or the constraint in respect to the parent. So what I can do now is that I can, so first of all, make it big, slightly bigger. Yeah, but yeah, what I can do is the rectangle, I can constrain it to all the borders. So if I resize the parent, in this case the frame, what happens is that it actually resizes the same way. It resizes with the parent. So this is what I want. And the actual text, I want it to be bound to the top, to the left, and to the bottom. So I define the constraint. You can select Shift. So with Shift, you can actually choose both. And now the parent is actually bound. So, well, what happened there? Oh yeah, it's resizing it. So yeah, maybe what I want to do is actually just center it. And if I do that, like now, the post is actually at the top. It's like in the middle. Right, so what I want is, if I select Alt, I can just resize the thing just slightly. So it's actually closer to the border. And yeah, that looks better. That looks better. That looks closer to what I was thinking of. Yeah, I don't know if it was, well, maybe it was better before. Yeah. Well, yeah, let's keep it smaller for the moment. Well, something like that. That could work, right? So this is a component that when I click on it, what I want to happen is that it should open a new website, a new page where you can actually create the post and you can write the full post. You can do the whole thing. Right. So now if I go to code, so this is a local host. This is our actual environment, the development environment. And let me make this smaller so we can see both the website and the code. So this is the code base, and so this is the page, right? And what I want to create is a new component there. So I want to create a new component. So I'm going to create a new component. I'm going to call it create post placeholder, because this is kind of the action. So I create a new component there, and I have a quick snippet here to get started quickly. And this is a next component. So it includes this style GSX, which is a very fast way of writing CSS inside the component. So yeah, basically this is a component and I want to import it. I'm going to close this thing here. We don't really need it. So we have the index, this is the actual website. And if I actually import this component, create post component placeholder, sorry. Yeah, so that will import the component automatically. And now the component is imported. So if I write something there, so if I say hello, like this component is showing up here, right? Nice. So what we want to do now is just quickly. So what I want to do first is having some kind of so we need a bigger container, and then inside we need an icon, and then we need another container with the input. So basically I need some kind of icon. So I'm gonna do maybe like this is gonna be span. So span icon. That's what we need for the icon, and we want the same component that we selected earlier, right? So that component is the FA circle. So if I go back to this is the name of the component, and you will see why this is great. So if I import it, Command Alt dot, I import the whole thing. And yeah, it's importing the FA's user circle from React Icons FA. And now if I save that, I get the small icon there, which is great. We're gonna improve it later. But yeah, I want now the input. So the input, let me see, how was that? Yeah, we have one big component, and then we have another container inside. So we need to, so let me select that, go back to the editor, and all right, so we need another rectangle inside. So I'm gonna do what, placeholder? No, I'm gonna call it input. Cool, we have the input there. And now, so if I show them both, so this is both things. So I'm gonna say create post. Nice. And now I'm gonna do display flex. I mean, this is great. Sometimes, I mean, this GitHub Copilot is crazy. Yeah. So I do display flex. I wanted to align items center. Yeah, that's great. And let's see what we get here. Cool. So now padding. Yeah, that's a good point. I use a library that I created called dashvar, and you can check it out. It's dashvar.com, and this is actually what I usually use. It's a very tiny library that has a list of different variables that you can use, and it gives you all this nice style guide to follow. So you use size, and so size, we decided it was a very small margin, so a very small padding, maybe like 8. Yeah, that's great. And I'm gonna give it a background. So we want a gray, I think it was like 100. And why is that not working? Oh yeah, because 100 is the default one, right? So it's the background actually. Okay, cool, that works. And border radius, probably about like 16. That was the one that we decided, I think. Nice. I want a box shadow. So this is what is great about this library, is that you don't need to think about what shadow you're going to choose and the actual variables. Everything is coming with this library. So I select that shadow. Maybe it's one smaller, a bit tinier. Well, maybe, yeah, maybe that worked actually. All right, so we can check. We can keep that. And now what I want is, I want the icon. So first of all, I want, yeah, let's style the icon actually. Margin, I don't want that. So I want to set the width to, I think it was like 32 pixels. So height 32 pixels. And I want the font size to be 32 pixels too. Oh, it's crashing. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. Color. Yeah, maybe gray 500. Yeah, maybe a bit more. Yeah, 700. And now for the internal bits, I want the placeholder, so the input. And I want to define the color, the background, gray 200, I think it was. Cool. Now it does this bit, but that doesn't really matter, because what I can do is just say, so width 100%, because I wanted to span the full width of the flex element, right? So it takes the full width. And now I want the border radius. It was 8 pixels. And I want another padding. The padding should be maybe like 16 pixels. That could work. Oh, that's too much. So 4. Yeah, probably vertically I want less. So my vertical padding. Oh, what did I do? My vertical padding is going to be like 2 maybe, and the horizontal maybe 4. Yeah, that's looking much better. Now, what is really cool is that I could. So this is actually probably. Oh no, I like that better. So what I want now is this spacing between the component. So the spacing, in order to get that, what I usually do is call the lobotomized owl. It's actually a really nice hack kind of thing. And what I usually do is basically what you need to do is actually select two. So you need to select 2 elements, and to the second element, this selector, the +1. So basically, what I'm saying is any children of the create post placeholder. Select the second child of any kind of child of this component. So basically, the second child in this big component is going to be the second rectangle, right? And so it would be, if I had another element, basically we'll select as well the element. Basically select any element but the first one. And this is actually where it's great, because now I can define a margin on the left, and you will see if I define a margin there, like size 3, that's good. See that what happens is that the first element doesn't get it doesn't get the margin, right? And what is great about this is, like, if I copy this element, I quickly get a big list of elements that are all separated in space correctly. And I don't know, it's a really nice hack, and I'm a big fan of that CSS hack. So yeah. So yeah, create post, and I'm gonna for the input, so probably the color. Yeah, sorry about that. My camera died. This is such a common problem. Oh my god. Cool. Yeah. So anyway, coming back to this. So what I want now is color gray. So probably I want some gray color for the text, for the gray 500. Maybe slightly more. Yeah. And now what I want is that when you are hovering this input, I want to change the cursor to text. And what this gives you is this feeling, right? Is that you can actually type, which actually you cannot type because this is not an input. What I want to do now is actually, like, when I click here, click on this element, I want to actually take you to a website. So basically, I would like to, when this click happens, I want to take you to a different website. How I would do that in Next is that I import the router. So use router and now I can take you to a different website. So router push and take you to create post. For example, yeah, that's a great autocompletion from GitHub Copilot. And yeah, I will do that now. I mean, to show you this, instead of that, I'm gonna just do an alert changing route. And if I click that, like, it will take you to changing route. I mean, yeah. So basically, that's it. Actually, that's how you create a new component, and yeah, it's as fast as that. Yeah, basically, the point is first you design. Second, you actually start coding. I like following the design and then coding principle first, because using a design tool like Figma, you basically have way more flexibility to actually think about your design, think about the user experience, and you can just delete the item and create another item, or bring another component, or just do all sorts of crazy iterations very quickly, because there's no code, right? Code is way more inflexible. So I think that by the time that you get to coding, that you should have already some good idea of what you're going to build. Usually companies actually do this usually big companies or big corporations actually do this. So they hire people that are focused on design, that they know how to build UIs, they know how to to actually design properly an interface, and then they actually give you the designs and they give you what you need to build. And usually coders or developers are not necessarily that savvy on the design aspect of things, but I think it's a really good practice. And I think so the generalist in me actually thinks that it's much better to have an average coder that actually knows how to design than actually having like two specialized roles that are difficult, because it's difficult to communicate between them, and actually, you cannot iterate quickly. So it creates a lot of friction and a lot of bottlenecks. So in my feeling is, first do some good design or average design, at least with Figma or with some tool like that. And then you come to code and you build your great interface. So that's my component of today. Thank you again for watching, and if you liked it, so you know what to do. All right, bye.